So, good evening to one and all present for the online faculty development program on cognizance and formulation of core values in higher education, organized by Arulmigu Palani Andava Arts College for Women, Palani. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my views on implicit goal of contribution to national development. So, let me just outline the topics that I am going to present. So, first, I would like to say what is a goal, why it is required, what is the importance and value of goal setting, what are the types of goals, what is the relationship between goals and performance, what are SMART goals, and what is implicit and explicit goal, how motivation helps to achieve the goals, and what is a sustained development goal. And finally, I would like to outline the role of education in the process of national development. So, what is a goal? A goal can be any objective that we set for ourselves and push us to achieve. Sometimes the goal may be very small, just like waking up earlier than what normally we do. And sometimes it may be a bigger goal, like contesting in an election or winning or just achieving a very big thing. So, let us see some famous quotes related to goal. So, Zig Ziglar says, a goal properly set is halfway reached. And Seth Godin says, everybody has their own Mount Everest they were put on this earth to climb. According to, according to Jim Rohn, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So all these quotes, they just stimulate the meaning of goal. While having goals of different kinds, and when all these goals are always beneficial, there are few drawbacks to regular goals also. For one, they are often arbitrary, meaning that even if we achieve our goal, it may not really end up providing any sufficient or significant benefit to our life. Some other times, people set goals that are not truly achievable. While these goals may still inspire a person to push themselves, they often lead to frustration and disappointment when they are not reached. So, regular goals may also be difficult to measure and gauge, making it hard for us to determine whether we are making any real progress towards our goal or not. Unless the goals are time bound, it is very easy for them to end up in a state of limbo where they are never really abandoned or achieved either. For example, lots of people have good intention to publish a book because they feel it will make their life or someone else's life better. But for whatsoever reason, they may never take up the first step towards their goal, which should probably be to learn how to write a book and how to get published. So people have lot of intention. People develop lot of intention. But finally what they do, they don't take any step forward to reach the goal. So that should not be the case with all of us. So why goal is important? Setting goals can help us to move forward in life. Goals give us a roadmap to follow. Goals are a great way to hold ourselves accountable even if we fail. Setting goals and working to achieving them helps us define what we truly want in life. So, let us see what is the meaning and purpose of goal setting. Setting up goals can help us to move forward in life, and setting goals and working to achieving them helps to define what we truly want in life. It also helps us to prioritize things. If we choose to simply wander through life without a goal or a plan, that is certainly our choice. However, setting goals can help us to live a life that truly we want to live. So it's purely our choice whether we go with a goal or plan or we don't go with a goal. So it all depends on our inner feelings, but setting goals can definitely help us to proceed further in our life. Having said that, we don't have to live every single moment of our lives planned out, because we all need those days when we have nothing to accomplish. However, those who have clearly defined the goals might just enjoy their downtime even more than those who don't set any goals. So, how often do we set goals? How often do we revisit our list of goals? We all know that setting goals is very important, but we often don't realize how important they are as we proceed towards throughout our life. So, we many times we do not realize the importance of the goal. Goal setting does not have to be boring. There are many benefits and advantages of having a set of goals to work towards. Setting goals help to trigger new behavior. It helps guides your focus and also helps to sustain a momentum in life. Goals also help align our focus and promote a sense of self mastery. So we get a lot of confidence, self confidence in our life. At the end of the day, we can't manage what we don't measure, and we can't improve upon something that we don't properly manage. We will also look at how goal setting can lead to greater success and performance. So, setting goals not only motivates us but also can improve our mental health and our level of personal and professional success. So, that's a very great point. Like setting goal, first of all, we have to set proper goal so that it gives us a lot of motivation and we get some uh, enhanced mental health, and our success rate gradually increases. So, what is the importance and value of goal setting? Goals are actually divided into three groups according to Elliott and McGregor. So, they did some experiment in the year 2001, and till that time, people were assuming that goals are of three groups. Number one, mastery goals, performance approach goals, performance avoidance goals. So let us see in detail what are these. A mastery goal is a goal someone sets to accomplish or master something, such as I will definitely score higher in this event next time. So what is performance approach goal? It is a goal where someone tries to do better than his peer group members. This type of goal could be a goal to look better by losing 5 kilograms or getting a better performance review. So, what is performance avoidance goal? It is a goal where someone tries to avoid doing worse things than what their peers will do in order to avoid a negative feedback from the peer group members. So, this was the original assumption till Elliott and McGregor did some research in 2001. After the research, and when they published their findings, definitely the concept of this or the meaning of this goal, they got changed. So let us see what happened. So Elliott and McGregor challenged these assumptions by proving that master avoidance goals do exist, and proved that each type of goal will be useful depending upon the circumstances. So what is the goal framework according to these people? So they categorized it into four types. One is mastery and approach goal, mastery avoidance goal, performance approach goal, performance avoidance goal. So the results of their studies revealed that those who are moving with a high motive to achieve were more likely to use approach goals. Those people who are having high motive to avoid failure, they are more likely to use avoidance goals. Those people who would like to use performance approach goals, they are more likely to have higher examination scores in whatever test they perform. Those who are used to performance avoidance goals are more likely to have very less examination scores. So their studies totally changed the view of these different types of goals. So let us see what is the importance of goal setting in organizations. Setting goals is vitally important for everyone, especially those in this commercial world. Goals help motivate us and help us to organize our thoughts. Psychoanalysis put the focus on the unconscious part of the mind, while the cognitive behaviorists argue that external factors are having a lot of importance. So, goal setting theory helps us to understand that setting goals are a conscious process rather than an unconscious process, and it's a very effective and efficient means when it comes to increase the productivity and motivation, especially in the workplace. According to Gary Latham, a former president of Canadian Psychological Association, the underlying premise of goal setting theory is that our conscious goals affect what we achieve. Our goals are the object or the aim of our action. So, goal setting theory tells us that our internal cognitive functions are equally important, especially when determining our behavior. So, to have our conscious cognition to be effective, we must direct and orient our behavior towards the world. So, that is the real purpose of a goal. So, according to Locke and Latham, there is an important relationship between goals and performance. So, let us see what is the relationship between goal and performance. So, research supports the prediction that the most effective performance often results when goals are both specific and challenging in nature. A learning goal orientation often leads to higher performance when compared to a performance goal orientation. So, deadlines are very important because if we have some deadline, they definitely improve the effectiveness of a goal. So, goals have a pervasive influence on both employee behavior and performance in organizations and management practice. So, this clearly outlines the relationship between goal and performance. If we develop or if we have good goals to achieve, our performance automatically improves. So, let us see what is the goal setting theory of motivation according to Lunenburg. So he categorizes goals into different types. One is a specific goal. Specificity tells us that for a goal to be successful, it must be specific. Goals such as I will do better next time, not this time, they are all too vague and general to motivate us. Something more specific would be to state I will spend X hours a day this week to complete the task before deadline. So, like this, we need some specific statement. We should never say I will do next year or I will try to do, I will plan like this. So, this kind of statement should never come from us. So our goal should be specific and it should be deadline based and we should be very clear on what we are going to achieve. So if we have some specific goals, definitely that is going to motivate us into action and then it also makes us accountable for everything whatever we are going to do. Difficult but still attainable. What is that? See, the goals must be difficult at the same time the goal must be attainable. It should not be too easy. Then there is people will take uh, very lethargic opinion on the goals. They may not take it seriously. So goals that are very simple may even cause us to give up. Goals should be challenging enough to motivate us without causing any undue stress. So the acceptance part of the goal. If we are continuously given goals by other people and we don't really accept them, then automatically we fail in reaching the task. So accepting a goal and owning a goal is the key to success. So one way to do this at the institutional level is to bring the faculty members together to discuss and set proper goals for the development of the institution, for the development of the individual, which may lead to the development of the nation. So, feedback and evaluation of goal is also equally important because if a goal is accomplished, it makes us feel proud. So, it gives us a sense of satisfaction. If we don't get proper feedback, the sense of pleasure whatever we get will quickly vanish and the accomplishment whatever we got may become meaningless. So in the workplace, that is in our organization, continuous feedback helps to have a feel that our work and contributions matter a lot. So it gives a sense of belongingness. This goes beyond measuring a single goal. When goals are used for performance evaluation, they are much more effective. So, learning beyond our performance. W- While goals can be used as a means of feedback to evaluate our performance, the real beauty of goal setting is the fact that it helps us to learn something new. So, that is the main part. So, when we learn something new, we develop new skills. And when we develop new skills, it helps us to proceed further, improve further in the workplace. So this, we were speaking about individual goals. Now let us speak about group goals, which are very important for an educational institution. Setting group goals is equally important for educational organizations. Just as individuals have goals, groups and teams and even committees should have goals in an organization. Group goals help bring people together and allow them to develop and work on the same goals. So the togetherness will come. How to move with the team will come. So the leadership quality will be developed. So group goals help to create a sense of community as well as a deeper sense of meaning and a greater feeling of belongingness and satisfaction. So let us see. See, give me a stock clerk with a goal, and I will give you a man who can make history. But give me a man with no goals, I will just give you a clerk. So that was the statement of J.C. Penney. And Andrews says, intention without action is an insult to those who expect the best from you. And Scott Reed says, this one step that is choosing a goal and sticking to it that changes everything. so we can understand the meaning of the goal and its importance. Now let us see what are SMART goals. SMART goals are goals which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So this specific criteria can be remembered using the acronym SMART, SMART. So the specific goals are very clear and concise, and the measurable goals we have the ability to track the progress of the goals. Achievable, so we can set some achievable and challenging goals. Relevance, so the goals can be set that are relevant to the system where we work. And timely, we should fix a target for the goals to be finished. So this is something called SMART goals, which everyone should develop in ourselves. These SMART goals are able to address all the flaw that are associated with the regular goals in order to provide us with a set of goals that will give maximum possible benefit. So there are five principles in the goal setting theory. One is clarity, other one is challenge, then we should have commitment and the proper feedback from the motivate, and then task complexity. So clarity means goals need to be very clear and it should be easily understood in order for them to be more effective. So unless goals are clear, it may not be effectively executed. And then challenge. Good goals have a high level of difficulty that we usually are actually accept and push ourselves to achieve them. Then commitment. Without a high level of commitment, it is difficult to achieve any goal. Then feedback. So how we are progressing towards our goal, and what is the level of satisfaction or like uh, completion of the work that we have done. All these things, can be learned only through proper feedback from an external agency. So this feedback motivates us to complete the goal on time. And then task complexity. Good goals are not usually complex, but understanding how complex our goals are is the important part of planning. So let us see what are the basic difference between goal setters and non-goal setters. Goal setters, they have a sense of purpose. They have an exact plan to achieve success. They use the time to the best of their ability and stick on to the time. They don't procrastinate on doing important tasks to advance the goals. So they fulfill the desire and then set new goals. Finally, they become successful. If we take non goal setters, they don't know the purpose of their life, they are highly unsure of their life, and then they do not have any plan for success. They get stalled along the way. They do not know how to spend the time to achieve the success, and they get stagnant in their pursuit of success. So we should clearly we can understand, like, definitely we all should be like goal setters. So what is the implicit and explicit goal? See, implicit goals are very, very, very important because they give lot of psychological benefits that we expect organizations to deliver. Organizations are a means to an end as we try to achieve an active goal. Implicit goals operate in the background and help individuals to differentiate at an emotional level. So, what are explicit goals? Explicit goals affect conscious attitudes, choices, and decisions, but they do not energize individuals. In contrast to implicit motives, individuals do not experience inherent pleasure and reward when they pursue explicit goals. Pleasure and reward are derived only from reaching these goals. So once again, we can have a comparative view of implicit and explicit goal. So implicit is something that is implied, that is not expressed directly, but still understood because it is suggested by a choice of words, a tone of voice, or other factors. So it is something, the goal that is within, it is not expressed directly, But explicit goal is something that is stated directly and completely with no room left for any implications. So here the topic is like we all should develop implicit goals so that they are very effective psychologically, and then if we develop a lot of implicit goals and we try to achieve, then definitely we get some inner discipline. So, what are the implicit feelings because of these goals? Implicit thoughts and feelings can be thought as our automatic first reactions. So, they are very fast. The implicit feelings are unintentional and they are associative in nature. This means that implicit thoughts and feelings are simply those that are paired with or associated with the stimuli that we encounter. So implicit system means first reaction, they are fast, automatic, unintentional, uncontrolled, non-deliberating, sometimes subconscious, they are associative and they are always on and they are different than explicit. If you take explicit system, they are non-automatic, they are slower, they are intentional, they are controlled, they are deliberating, they are working at conscious level, and they are propositional. They are not always on, and they are sometimes different than implicit. And in our educational system, so if we take what is implicit teaching or explicit method of learning, if we take, so just for understanding the concept, implicit learning means it is student centered and learning through example communicative. It is a inductive or intuitive process. It is a spontaneous process, and there is a exposure to language in use. If it is explicit learning, it is mostly teacher centered and guided instructions will be given for understanding the rules. There are clear goals, but it's a deductive process. There are a lot of models, explanation, and practice and reinforcement are given for enhancement in the learning process. Now, in order to develop goals, like motivation plays a vital role in this phenomena. So, what is motivation? Motivation is defined as the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. So, motivation is a need within us that inspires us to take action. In leadership, motivation theories play a very key role in organizational behavior and to create a team success. Motivation forms the center of influence and therefore it is very effective and an inspirational leadership. This motivation involves four aspects. Number one, goal. Number two, effort. Number three, a desire to attain the goal. And number four, attitude towards the activity in question. So, this motivation is also defined as impetus to create and sustain intentions and goal seeking acts. Motivation is a desire to achieve a goal combined with the energy to work towards that goal. So, what do you mean by motivational congruence? It is a state of alignment between an individual's implicit motives on one hand and explicit goals and values on the other hand. So, emotional well being is high in individuals who pursue and realize personal goals that fit their implicit motives, that is, that are congruent with them. Whereas emotional well being is impaired in those who fail to realize such goals or pursue goals that do not fit into their motives. So, they are termed as incongruent. So, lot of research activities were conducted for the past 2 decades, and most of the research supports the notion of implicit motives. That is, dispositional capacities for experiencing certain class of incentives as pleasurable and certain class of disincentives as aversive that represent an important source of emotional well-being. There are three major implicit motives that we all should know. So, this is based on McClelland's theory of motivation. This McClelland is famous, or he is also called as father of motivation. So he has given lot of theories, and he has done lot of studies on analyzing the concept of motivation. So according to McClelland, so implicit motive research is focusing on three motivational needs. One is called the need for affiliation, the second one is need for achievement, and then need for power. NF, NH, and N power. So, what is this? The need for power is a capacity for deriving pleasure from having impact on others. The need for achievement is a capacity for enjoying the autonomous mastery of challenging tasks. The need for affiliation, a capacity for cherishing close, harmonious relationships. So these three are very vital motivational needs. So we all know that Abraham Maslow in the year 1954 gave a theory called theory of hierarchy, or hierarchical theory of need, or need theory of hierarchy, whatever name that we say. So initially he gave he was coining five different terminologies, five basic needs. It is like a triangle, and we have to start from the base. So if like see our motivation, we are motivated to proceed to the next level only if the first or basic level is satisfied. That is what is this need theory, he has coined first need as a physiological need. So we need some place, we need basic physiological needs are like water and air. Water, air, both are required. So for basic physiological needs, once they are satisfied, once we get all these things, then we move towards the safety needs. We need a proper place to live. Once you have proper place and you have food and water and air, so a sense of belongingness and love needs, they arise. That means we need some family and other can establish a family. Once we establish, we want to have some respect in the society, that is esteem needs. So but basically Maslow coins these four needs as deficiency needs. Once these deficiency needs are fulfilled, once there are no deficiencies, then actually a growth in the life takes place. So the next part, originally it was self actualization. Now this five ladder scheme is changed into 8 points. So newly two needs are introduced. One is need to know and understand. The other one is aesthetic needs. Once we have all, once we fulfill all deficiency needs, once we do not have any deficiency, definitely we will be moving towards aesthetic needs. We want to fulfill some aesthetic needs. So once you have basic food, shelter, family, and self-respect, and then you know and understand everything, and you are fulfilled with the aesthetic needs, then your mind moves towards self-actualization. That is the transcendence state. So here, as I told, Maslow categorized this theory into deficiency need and growth need. So the first four levels are deficiency needs that I have already explained, and then the next four levels are growth needs, that is cognitive need, aesthetic need, and self actualization. So, self actualization is to find self fulfillment and realize one's potential. Self actualized people are actually characterized by being problem focused. They will appreciate everything in their life. They will be showing concern about personal growth. They will be showing ability to have peak experiences. And the final state is transcendence, to help others to find self fulfillment and realize their potential. So we should move towards that level. That is what Maslow has told. So this is quite common and applicable for all of us. So we should move towards a self actualization and then making others to find or to realize their potential. So that is how the growth should be there according to Maslow. So here there are three major sources of motivation in learning. So they are intrinsic satisfaction, extrinsic reward, and then success in the task, that is combining the satisfaction and reward. So these are the three major sources of motivation, because as we know, motivation is the key factor. As a teacher, we need to motivate the students, and then as an organization, we have to motivate our own fellow teachers. So motivation plays a vital role for the development of a system. So now you have got some goals, and then you are highly motivated. Now how, as an individual, how can we contribute towards the nation's progress and development? So everyone can contribute to the economic development of the country by performing our own duties regularly in time with due sincerity. By working hard, we can create added values to ourselves and to the society at large, being socially and economically responsible citizens. Everyone has the duty to carry out his or her civic responsibilities, especially being law abiding, to help in strengthening institutional growth. If a nation has strong institutions rather than just strong few individuals, there will be a boost to its path to growth and development. Also, we must be ready to put in the very best in our chosen careers, not just for the gains alone, but mostly for what we can offer to our society and humanity through our actions and commitments. For the individuals seeking their nation to be developed, they need to do some simple things. Just we have to live by a moral code, we have to work hard, start a family, be an active, positive member of your community. So that is more than sufficient. So a nation develops because of the people of the country. It's a well known fact. It has many aspects. Use of natural resources to optimum level, prepare the people to serve the country in various fields. We have to train them accordingly. So we have to make people, or we have to make the education for the people towards results. So it should be a result oriented education. And the policy makers should keep progress in mind, and they should be non corruptive and just financial, not only in financial aspects, but in socially, they should not be corrupt. Younger generations should be taught to achieve what could not be achieved in the past. So let me quote an example. If you take Japan, it was totally devastated in the World War and it was reduced to shambles in 1945. People never gave up. These people worked hard, they forgot the past and they started looking forward. They became workaholics. Their aim was to make their country a worthy one. They never looked back. Now we all of us know what is the result. It's just amazing. It's one of the most developed countries in the world. Similar thing happened in Germany, and like they also became developed nation because of their hard work. So it is the people who contribute to the success of a nation. So we know that individual development is nation's development. So individual development is the bedrock of national development. If the individuals that constitute a nation are not developed, such a nation would achieve very little or they may not have any development. It is analogous to a machine which parts are faulty. So if a machine is not working and if it, a machine is under repair, so definitely there is no development. So that is a small comparison that we can have. So obviously the overall function of the machine would be hampered. So definitely development is defined as the growth or formation of something over a period of time. So what is the role of education in the process of national development? So uh, there are 11 catalytic roles of education in the process of national development. They are increasing the production, development of talent and virtues, development of HR human resources, and the development of individual personality, promotion of national integration, modernization, develop democratic values, establishing a socialistic pattern of society, developing secular outlook, promotion of international understanding, synthesizing cultural and scientific values. So the government of India have also recently they have set some sustainable development goals. There are 17 sustainable development goals. One is no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being, quality education to all, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, decent work and good economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructural developments, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals. So these are the 17 goals that our government of India has also framed as a sustainable development goals. So India's national development goals and its development with all policy initiatives for inclusive development converge well with the sustainable development goals, and India will play a leading role in determining the success of these goals globally. As our Honorable Prime Minister noted, these goals reflect our evolving understanding of the social, economic, and environmental linkages that define our lives. And the national action on these sustainable development goals were done through Niti Aayog. So, on the whole, I would like to summarize my presentation as like this. So, setting implicit goals can definitely help us to move forward in our life. Goals give us a roadmap to follow. Goals are a great way to hold ourselves accountable even if we fail. Setting goals and working to achieve them helps us to define what we truly want in life. So, setting implicit goals also helps us prioritize things. If we choose to simply wander through life without a goal or a plan, that's certainly our choice. However, setting goals can always help us to live a life that truly we want to live. So, as Dr. Abdul Kalam told, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. He also told, to succeed in your mission, you must have a single minded devotion to goal. So, if an individual is systematic, the society will be streamlined. If the society is streamlined, the entire nation will flourish. So, let us all strive hard and contribute to the development of our nation. Through disciplined behavior, let us all take the flag of our nation to greater heights of glory. Jai Hind. And I thank you for your kind attention, and I thank the organizers for giving me this golden opportunity to share my views on implicit goal of contribution to nation development. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.